Hour number 2, Masters Edition, this April 6, 2011, on the Tee, Iowa's #1 listen to golf show, 2 pros and a hack in our palatial Okoboji Bar and Grill Clubhouse Studios at 1801 Grand in the heart of the state capital on ESPN 1700 The Champ, our flagship, broadcasting to our statewide affiliates and all the clubhouses across Iowa on the Iowa Sports Connection Radio Network. Teeing off on great radio stations like 620 KMNS in Sioux City and 1230 WFXN in the Quad Cities. We're also televising on WHO TV 13.2 and Mediacom channels 113 and 246, and in Cedar Rapids tonight on KCRG 9.2 and Mediacom 109. Of course, always streaming live on iowasportsconnection.com. I'm Tim Dare, along with former Iowa State standout Judd Gibb, 5-time IPGA Player of the Year and 2-time Teacher of the Year, and Jay, the Coach Horton, from former UAB Blazer and longtime Iowa State golf coach. And hour number 2, guys, more Masters talk here. And this time we're going to be speaking with the golf writer for the Des Moines Register. And, of course, he does a lot more than that, basketball and football, everything else. But he's a golf man, too. And here's a guy that he's a Dodge boy like me and you, Judd. His dad was a great sports writer at the Messenger. But he's won Rick Brown, and I'm jealous of Brownie because when he was down covering the Masters, he got the chance to play the course on that Monday after. Right, Brownie?
I did play the course, and somehow it survived and still exists.
Well, you're a pretty good stick there. So, first of all, before we get into this year's Masters, what was that like?
That was just...
was it surreal, kind of like a dream?
Yeah, it was surreal, especially we started on 10, so... That was not an easy start, but to play one hole and then you're at Amen Corner, and number 12 is your third hole. And
did you put in the drink?
I did. I hit the bank and rolled it back, so I can say that I hit a ball into Rays Creek. I'm proud of that.
All right.
It was an experience of a lifetime, to say the least.
Well, Rick, obviously, the guys that are playing there this week hit it maybe just a little bit better than you do. But when you watch the tournament now, having played the course, that's got to give you a little different perspective on covering the event or just sitting at home watching it.
It really does, Judd, because even after covering it for 5-6 days, whatever it was, some of the places you can't get to, like behind 13 tee, places like that, and you can you really see the way that hole that right to left turn on 13 and 15 was nothing like it looked on TV. To me, it was a much tougher hole than it looked on TV. 12 was just awe-inspiring. 11 was a monster. 14 was a tough hole. I mean, they're all tough for me, but yeah, and playing like even number 2, that par 5 that goes downhill, just getting a real feel for that from the middle of the fairway, what it looks like was a real thrill. And you're right, a totally different experience and view of the course.
For the average golfer, what was the toughest hole for you? What was the biggest difference in getting a chance to play it?
Oh, just well, like 13, I had no idea the way that fairway slopes. So you're standing there and you hit a decent drive there, and you're thinking. Well, first I'm looking and saying, "Holy cow, they hit it up there in that pine straw from that tee." Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. But I guess the fairway lies, Jay, and just the contour of the greens. Like number 14, that TV does that green no justice. That is a killer green. Same with 17. Those 2 greens, I think, that was awe-inspiring. Now 18 was just like you would figure on TV. You stand there and you tee off. You see the fairway bunker out there. And then you come around the corner, and there's one of the most famous greens in golf. So that part of it was pretty neat. The whole thing was great.
Yeah, I would think the greens, being able to get actually on the green and actually putt and see what the ball does, because you're right, Brownie. There's 2 things you can never pick up on TV if you've never been there is the undulation of the course itself and the elevation changes, but the other thing is particularly the contours and of the greens and the extreme, some of the humps and the bumps and it's amazing compared to what you see on TV.
Yeah, plus when you hit in the bunkers, you don't get to watch it on TV or watch it even there from the bunkers. So that was another experience too. The bunker on 16, for example.
Did Did they leave the pins in the Sunday positions for you guys when you got a chance to play out it Monday?
They left the pins. They didn't mow the greens, but they left the pins right where they were.
So I'm sure the greens are really slow then. Not mowing them. Went from a 15 to a 14.
Yeah, that's right. Above the hole was no place to be even a day later.
Well, Rick, one thing I wanted to ask you, and we had Alex Maselli on at the beginning of the show, and we were talking about Augusta National in terms of a place that we usually think of as being real stuffy, kind of set in their ways like that. But technology has been such a big thing of Augusta, and I know just reading. You think about the golf course and how they set it up with the equipment that they use. Tiger Woods has a video game now that they use. The other thing, from your standpoint, that has to be one of the best media setups of all time, certainly at a golf tournament. Oh,
it's fantastic. It's right there off number one, and right there as you come in, it's right to the right of number one fairway before you get past the tee shot, and everything is right there, and the media's treated it very, very well there, and it's first class. And you talk about the technology, the sub-air system with the greens. The first time I was there, I'm walking, I hear this humming, and I asked the marshal, I said, "What's that humming sound?" He said, "Oh, it's the sub-air system for the greens." So everything is first class. I'm not astute enough to pick up the changes when they Tiger-proofed the course, but it's still a man eater. That the most underrated hole there probably is the fourth hole, the par 3. Mm-hmm. That thing, that margin for error there on that tee shot is nil. So, I mean, boy,
that was a really hard hole, and then they moved it back 30 yards. It was like, what are you doing?
You got to hit a very high iron, and it's a long iron shot.
Yeah,
you got to have great touch to get it, over the bunker and get the ball to stop so it doesn't take off through the green. It's like when you see the U.S. Open guys that takes a par 5 and turns it into a par 4. Well, the green wasn't built to take those long approach shots, but that's what they do.
Yeah, and that's especially true of number 7.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah. Brownie, thoughts on the golf season in general before we get into the Masters and what you're thinking about this week. But just so far, this golf season, with until last week with Phil winning, kind of a lack of the big names winning, more some young guns. Dean Wilson wins a couple times. You get Gary Woodland, Martin Laird. You got a lot of different guys winning.
Yeah, Johnson Vegas. Yeah, they Martin Laird, of course, Jamie Birtle protege or recruit. Mm-hmm. So, it's almost like they took the fall season and put it at the start of the year. I mean, because it's a lot of the guys you have. I mean, the person who really follows the game knows some of these young guys. But, yeah, Mark Wilson winning twice, who would have predicted that? I mean, you never would have. Martin Laird shooting, what did he shoot, 75 and still won the Arnold Palmer Invitational? I mean, there's some crazy stuff going on out there.
Well, like I said, a lot of those guys, you're talking about some of those younger guys, like Gary Woodland, John Vegas. I watched them up close and personal for the last bunch of years, so it's kind of fun seeing some of these guys. I know for me, these young guys are awfully talented, and I knew from experience how hard it was to compete against them.
Yeah, everyone says it's hard to win when you're young, but I mean, today I think college golf is so good, and you would know this better than I would, Jay. But I think college golf is so good and so darn competitive that sure, the PGA Tour is tough, but these guys they don't flinch when they try to get on the tour, and when they get on the tour, they don't flinch when they're playing on the tour. To me, it's amazing. It's just totally different.
Well, Rick, from a standpoint of a story writing itself, I guess on Monday, what's the biggest story that could happen? Is it Phil wins his 4th? Is it Tiger makes his comeback? Or is it one of these young guns coming from nowhere, really, in a major championship, nowhere to speak, to win?
I think if he may not be a young gun, but I would throw Dustin Johnson into the mix there, too. I think there's 3 compelling storylines. Phil gets his 4th, and so he moves up to tie for 3rd all time. Or you have a Tiger coming out of hibernation. I saw a great, I don't know if you guys saw on the Golf Channel last night, the interview they had with Tom Watson. Didn't you guys see that?
I did see that, yeah.
I love Watson. I thought that was a great interview they did, but they asked him about Tiger, is he done? He said, oh, absolutely not. So he would know better than we. That would be a big story, and then, Dustin Johnson coming so close to the majors, and then what happened in the PGA last year in the last major. If he would win Augusta, that would take his career to a newfound fame.
Absolutely, and obviously the Euros are dominating the world rankings right now, and you wouldn't be a surprise at all if a Euro won.
No, although didn't Luke Donald win the par 3 contest today?
Yeah, he's done, because he would have been a sleeper, because he plays real well there.
Yeah, he's ranked 4th in the world, so he's in trouble. But Martin Keimer, you wouldn't be surprised at all to see him. Although I don't think he's made a cut there. He played there twice and has not played well there. But his game's obviously at a different level than it was when he last played it. There's a ton of Euros that could win the thing. I mean, I saw a poll, and I'm trying to think where I saw it. They said they took a poll of the media there, and it's they consider it the most wide open Masters. I saw it on a European Tour website, this poll, most wide open Masters that anyone can remember.
Wow. And, because, I guess it's, ever since Tiger's emerged, it's been basically Tiger and maybe Phil and then the field.
Yeah, I mean, I know when I was there in 2008, everyone just assumed Tiger was going to win the Grand Slam that year. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
They just thought it was a done deal, and it was over, and there was no hype about the tournament. It's how many is he going to win by. So, yeah, things really changed in a couple of years.
How about Zach? What do you think about his chances and how he's playing in his career and his year and what's going on with him?
Well, he's really had a so-so career. He was hitting the ball terribly at the start of the year, but putting very well to make a few cuts. Now he's hitting a little better, not putting as well. He says he's hitting on all chords now. But this course is gonna play pretty long, and I don't know that's gonna fit into him. Maybe he got some advice from his celebrity caddy today in the par 3 tournament that'll help him. I don't know.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. He had
Andy Roddick.
Andy Roddick, yeah.
Hey, he should have had Andy Roddick's wife. He would have got a bigger gallery.
Hey, baby, you darn right.
And I didn't know.
Good call there, Brownie.
Rick, what is the connection there? I mean, I didn't realize those two guys hung out together.
That's the first time they'd ever met. Of course, Roddick's from Omaha.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They both used to be under the SFX umbrella, which Zach still is. Roddick no longer is, but he was there, and he went through some SFX people and requested. He said he wanted to caddy on the par 3 for Zach. He requested it because they're two Midwestern guys. So they met for the first time under the right off their number one, the real meeting spot at Augusta. They met there this afternoon before they teed off. So I guess that's how that came about.
And how about Freddie? Any chance he could have, he always plays well there. I mean, and after last year, you think he has a shot at least making a maybe top 10?
Well, last year Freddie had already dominated the Champions Tour at this point in the season. Had won 3 times, I think, and was really playing well going into Augusta. And I think he finished 6th, as I recall, and was right there.
Right there.
I just don't think his game is where it was a year ago at this time. I mean, you never cast away that experience. I could see him having a good round or two, but I just don't see how he's going to contend for 4 rounds.
Well, and that was the other thing as far as Freddie is. I know at the beginning of last week he was talking about if he could get through, last week and then get through the Masters, that he was considering shutting it down for a while. And for all the golf fans here in central Iowa, with Longer being on the mend and maybe Freddie's back being a little bit worse than he's ever told us, that's not very good news, is it?
No, that's not. And I thought when Couples came here, he didn't just go through the motions. He was a real pro, a real gentleman. He was really good to the members of the media and those of us who went and tracked him every round and talked to him. He was. I guess his back was bothering him on that Saturday, and he didn't give us as much time. But after he got done, he was great on Sunday, and it was a real pleasure to have him here. That would be a real blow, and Longer just being the dominant part of the Champions Tour the last few years, that would be a big blow too. I don't know where Tom Lehman stands. Maybe he could help make up for some of that.
Yeah, absolutely. He's playing very well, obviously. Yeah. And it'd be nice, as a kind of the local connection Minnesota guy. It'd be nice to have him there, but because you got to have the names. I mean, you got to have the names show up for these events to get the people there.
Yeah, they really do. And I thought last year I thought was the best principal event we've had here, and a lot of it was because of those names.
Absolutely. Well, Brownie, time for a break, but we got to get a pick here before we let you go.
I'll take Nick Watney. How's that?
Hey, that's a good pick. I mean, he played really well there, and can Anthony Kim? I mean, he played so well there, but I don't know if he's playing well enough right now. But Nick Watney, that's a good pick.
I just think he's due. I mean, he was right there in the PGA, and it got away from him in the last round last year. But I think he's learned from that. Augusta suits him. He's got the length. He's my guy.
All right, thanks. He's Rick Brown, Des Moines Register golf writer and Dodge boy. Thanks, Rick.
That's right.
Okay,
Thanks, guys.
You bet. When we come back, we'll continue the Masters conversation, and of course, we have another contest here before the show's over. The movie
Facts for
Hacks. So we're going to end the show with that, of course. But stay on the tee right here.